Hello everybody, I'm Charlie from Dr. Wen, and welcome along to yet another brand new daily Doctor Who YouTube video. As promised, I am back, and today, since it is Monday, but it was supposed to be on Sunday, I'm going to be doing another brand new classic Doctor Who review, and today I thought I would skip ahead to the 4th Doctor era and review Genesis of the Daleks. So this is a 4th Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith story from 1975. It's the 4th and second to last story of season 12 of Doctor Who, which is Tom Baker's first season as the 4th Doctor. In general, this episode gets really high ratings. Usually it appears on people's top 1, 3, 5, 10, 20 or whatever. It's usually towards the top of everyone's list, and rightly so. However, I think it's a little bit overrated. I think it could have been a lot better. I think episodes 1, 2, 5 and 6 are incredible. However, episodes 3 and 4 to me drag this episode down so much, and it could have been a lot better had they not been there, and this would have been a 4-parter. However, I still think it's a very good story, just not quite worthy of top 3, 5, 10 or whatever. So today I'm going to be talking about it, the characters, the villain, the setting, etc. Just explaining to you what I like and maybe don't like about the story. I hope you enjoy, and feel free to leave your feedback on this story down in the comments. I would really appreciate it if you also subscribed to my YouTube channel and gave this video a like if you enjoy it. Without further ado, let's get into the main portion of this video. So first off, I'm just going to talk about the characters in this story. This was the first time I was introduced to the 4th Doctor and Harry Sullivan in this story, because I've not got the rest of the 4th Doctor stories. This was the second ever Doctor Who story I got, and the first 4th Doctor story after the Time Warrior. So, in general, I think the 4th Doctor is a really good Doctor. Tom Baker does an excellent performance as the 4th Doctor overall, and especially in this story. He has some really iconic moments, like that speech where he's about to press the 2 wires together, and I think it was really good of the writers to kind of challenge Tom Baker with a script this good so early into the series, because I think by this point they kind of recognised that he would be the greatest Doctor ever, and lots of people do consider him the greatest Classic Who Doctor. I respectfully disagree with those people. He is my second favourite Classic Who Doctor at the moment, even though I have only seen 2, Jon Pertwee and Tom Baker, but I think he will remain my second favourite, and maybe even become better than Jon Pertwee when I see some of his later and maybe some of his earlier stories. But overall, I still think Tom Baker does a brilliant performance as the Doctor. He has such a fun, playful alien personality, which quite resembles the 11th Doctor's actually, because he has quite a dark and sombre side occasionally, especially in his later seasons. But in general, he's just a very fun, playful and alien person, well, Time Lord, which is what I quite like, and I really like the 11th Doctor, so the 4th Doctor, in terms of personality, resembles him quite a lot. But in general, I just think he's a really fun Doctor to watch, and I don't know, I think he was probably one of the funniest incarnations of the Doctor, maybe excluding the 2nd Doctor. Next up, I'm going to talk about the villain in this, the villain known as Davros. Now, some people may argue against this and say that Davros isn't the villain because he didn't have evil intentions, but I wouldn't call the Daleks the villains because Davros kind of created them and controlled them. I consider Davros the main villain in this story, like he is the main villain for lots of future Classic Who Dalek stories, such as Destiny, Remembrance, Resurrection, and Revelation of the Daleks. I really enjoy Davros as a villain, and this was a really good introduction story for him. I think the design is really good, having this creepy, kind of distorted face, that whole blue third eye, the wires coming out his head, the whole bottom half of his body being half Dalek. I really enjoyed that, and I think it was actually a really cool villain design, and he seems really menacing as well, because before then everyone thought the big bad guys of the universe were the Daleks, but then we get this even bigger, person who he created the Daleks. Like, he must be one of the most powerful beings in the universe, and the smartest if he created the Daleks. So it's quite, creepy how he was responsible for so many deaths. It was horrible. But yeah, he's still a really good villain. I think he's very well written. The special effects, lots of people say they're really bad. I think they were actually very good for their time. They still hold up a decent amount today. I think they don't look atrocious like some things from later Classic Who and even earlier New Who have, because this was in the golden age of Doctor Who, where it actually had a slightly higher budget than it did in any other era of the show. But in general, Davros is a really good villain, and the Daleks are really good too. We don't really see that many Daleks. In episodes 4, 5 and 6 we actually see loads of them, and we first see them in the cliffhanger at the end of episode 1, because at first we just seen the Khaled people, who will eventually become the Daleks. So I did actually really like that, and yeah, in general, he's just a really good villain, and it's quite cool, kind of having this person on screen who created the Daleks. It's actually really cool. So next up, I'm going to talk about the general setting of this. So as you can see here, we've got this person in a gas mask. This is from episode 1, I'm pretty sure, or possibly 6 at the end. And because, in general, Skaro is a war-torn planet in this story, it's basically set in the very early days of the universe. And on Skaro, they believed there was only, like, a few galaxies in the universe, and they were the only intelligent life in the universe, which of course they might have been at that point, I don't really know. But I actually really like the whole setting. In episode 1 we have lots of those scenes with kind of the war, like where they're getting bombed and then there's toxic gas. I think it resembles World War II quite a lot, which is actually quite fitting since the Daleks were based off the Nazis, as everybody knows. But yeah, in general, it just has a really good setting, and especially in later episodes, like in episodes late episode 4, early episode 5, and then the rest of episode 6. We also have episodes 1 and primarily 2, where they all kind of, they all have a very claustrophobic setting, and it resembles New Who quite a lot with some of the kind of running in this base episodes. It's sort of a base under siege story at times, but that's not a bad thing. I think it's actually quite a good thing in general. But yeah, this actually has a really good setting. I think in episodes 3 and 4, I'm not the greatest fan. Again, having this part of it set on the Thal City, I didn't really like that. I preferred the scenes in the science division of the Khaled City, or outside in the war-torn area. But either way, it's still really good setting, except for episode maybe 3 and 4, like I said, with the whole scaffolding and then that metal area where the Doctor's getting electrocuted. That bit doesn't really make all that much sense, but I still really enjoy lots of this actually, and the setting is just very creepy and claustrophobic, and it really fits well with a Dalek story. So, in general, yeah, I really like the whole concept of this story as a whole, like, just the general idea of it, having a Time Lord call the Doctor to Skaro, and then make him sort of prevent the Daleks' creation, or maybe, change their creation so that they're less aggressive beings. I think it's a really good idea, and I think I'd imagine that lots of people were waiting quite eagerly for a story about how they were created in the first place. Obviously, before I found out about the story, I always presumed that they would be created in the Daleks and just follow a linear kind of progression of evolution in the show, and then I realised that this is a show about time travel, and that probably isn't the case. But yeah, this is a really good idea, seeing Davros for the first time creating the Daleks. We have, obviously, the Daleks themselves, like the very, very first Dalek you can see there, looking right at the camera. It must be pretty awesome being the first Dalek ever. And yeah, in general, it's just a really good idea. It's got a really, fast-paced, sort of base under siege vibe for episodes 1, 2, and 5 and 6. Again, I have a bit of a grudge against episodes 3 and 4, because I don't really think they're very good, they don't make that much sense. They kind of divert the plots away from the Daleks and more towards the actual war these Khaleds and Thals are having, breaking apart this dome, and Davros even consulting with the Thals, which kind of just proves that he doesn't have any evil intentions. But yeah, in general, I just love most of this story. I think it's slightly overrated, doesn't quite deserve the hype the entire story gets. Overall, I've given it an 8.7 out of 10. It's my least favourite Classic Who story that I've reviewed so far, and that I've got. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video, everybody. Unfortunately, I won't be doing any more Classic Who reviews for now, mainly because I don't have any more Classic Who DVDs. However, it is my birthday on Saturday, so who knows, I might get some for my birthday. I'm not too sure at the moment, but when I get some more Classic Who DVDs, I'll be sure to continue Classic Who reviews on Sunday. So there we go. Feel free to leave your feedback on this review and the story of Doctor Who as a whole down in the comments below, and feel free to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And next time. So tomorrow I'm going to do chapter 3. Actually, later today, I'm going to do Chapter 3 of my fan series, Count Your Shadows, with Chapter 3 of the first Dr. Ian and Barbara story, where this will resolve the cliffhanger of one of the main characters temporarily or permanently dying. I'll see you then, and goodbye.